Hello, m'ladies, of inestimable value. Power is most unsettling when it doesn't announce itself. It just sits there, watching, calculating, waiting. In every workplace, people expect loud leaders, attention-hungry performers, and overzealous team players. But what truly unsettles colleagues is the woman who doesn't need any of that to dominate her environment, the Sigma female. She doesn't claw for the spotlight, yet somehow she bends it toward her. Research shows that nearly 65% of professionals admit they feel uneasy around coworkers who are highly independent and unpredictable. And Sigma females fit that description to perfection. She doesn't follow the unspoken office rituals. She doesn't flatter the boss. And she doesn't fake enthusiasm over cupcakes in the break room. Instead, she moves like a ghost who rewrites the rules without ever asking for permission. While others are busy chasing titles and applause, she's quietly doing something far more dangerous, working on her own terms. And yes, it's equal parts fascinating and terrifying, because the office was never designed for women who refuse to play by its social games. Strap in, because today we're diving into 20 unusual things all Sigma females do at work, the behaviors that make them both admired, misunderstood, and impossible to control. Number 1. They walk away from fights that others bleed over. When most people at work feel challenged, their instinct is to fight back. They want to prove they're right, defend their territory, and make sure everyone sees it. Meetings turn into small battlegrounds, email threads become war zones, and hours get wasted on arguments that barely matter. But the Sigma female doesn't play that game. She understands something most people never learn. Not every battle deserves your energy, and the loudest person in the room rarely wins anything meaningful. Instead of locking horns with colleagues, she often chooses to walk away, quietly, deliberately, and with unnerving calm. At first, it looks like surrender. People think she's given up, that she couldn't handle the pressure. But over time, the truth becomes clear. Her withdrawal is sharper than any rebuttal. While others are sweating, over-explaining, and desperately trying to win, she's conserving her energy for something bigger. She lets them bleed themselves dry, and when the dust settles, she's still standing untouched. This way of moving through conflict is what makes her presence at work so unusual. She doesn't need to prove she's the smartest person in the room because she already knows where her value lies. She doesn't care about small office power plays because she's focused on leverage, not noise. By refusing to take the bait, she forces others to reveal their insecurities while keeping hers completely hidden. What really stings people is that her silence carries more weight than their words. The more they try to drag her into their chaos, the more she exposes just how desperate they are for validation. Colleagues soon realize they can't manipulate her through drama, and that realization makes them uneasy. Her ability to step away also gives her an advantage most don't see immediately: time. While her coworkers are emotionally exhausted from arguing, she's already moved forward with clarity and focus. She knows that real power isn't about winning every little fight. It's about choosing the ones worth engaging in and refusing to waste yourself on the rest. In the end, the Sigma female doesn't win by overpowering her rivals. She wins by letting them overpower themselves. That's why her absence in conflict feels more cutting than her presence could ever be. Number 2. They build invisible escape routes. One of the most unsettling things about Sigma females in the workplace is how they quietly build escape routes that nobody else can see. While most employees tie their entire identity to a job and cling to it for security, she never allows herself to be fully trapped. On the surface, she may look just as committed as everyone else, turning in her work, meeting deadlines, and delivering results. But underneath, she's always preparing for the moment she might decide to leave. And she does it so discreetly that no one suspects until it's too late. She invests in skills that stretch far beyond her current role, the kind of skills that give her leverage no employer can fully control. She nurtures connections outside the company, not in a loud, networking way, but through quiet, genuine relationships that last. She might have side projects, freelance opportunities, or even a Plan B career that no one at the office knows about. To her, this isn't disloyalty, it's survival. She refuses to give any system the power to hold her hostage. What makes this unnerving is that while others are building golden cages around themselves, The Sigma female is silently keeping doors unlocked. She knows companies can be fickle, managers can change, and industries can collapse overnight. Instead of panicking when those shifts happen, she simply slips through one of her invisible exits and reappears somewhere better. Colleagues are left stunned, wondering how she managed to walk away so effortlessly while they're stuck scrambling. Her secret strength lies in never confusing stability with permanence. She understands that nothing in a workplace is guaranteed, so she designs her life in a way where she always has options. That independence makes her nearly untouchable. No threat of, "You'll never find another job like this," works on her, because she already has quiet alternatives lined up. By the time people realize she was operating on her own terms all along, she's already gone, without noise, without drama, and without leaving anything behind that can be used against her. Her ability to build invisible escape routes isn't just unusual, it's her ultimate power, the freedom to stay only as long as she chooses. Number 3. They collect data on people. The Sigma female's ability to collect data on people without them realizing is one of her sharpest survival skills at work. She doesn't do it to entertain herself with gossip or to stir drama like others might. Her mind works more like an analyst than a chatterbox. She observes people in silence, noticing details that most overlook, the nervous shift in someone's voice when they're hiding something, the exaggerated enthusiasm that often masks insecurity, or the subtle way a coworker distances themselves before betraying someone. These patterns aren't just interesting to her. They're pieces of a puzzle that she slowly assembles until the full picture of a person's character becomes clear. What makes this so unusual is that she's not performing the typical office politics game. She's not scrambling to climb by exposing others. Instead, she's gathering knowledge that functions as quiet insurance. She doesn't need to threaten anyone directly. She just knows exactly who can be trusted, who can't, and who will crumble under pressure. While everyone else is busy reacting, she already predicted their moves 3 steps earlier. This data becomes her silent currency. She doesn't spend it recklessly, and she never shows her hand too soon. But when she chooses to act, maybe in a negotiation, maybe in a crisis, she uses what she's learned with surgical precision. Suddenly, she knows the perfect moment to step in, the right words to say, or the exact weakness to press. To outsiders, it looks like uncanny intuition. To her, it's just a matter of connecting dots she's been quietly storing all along. Colleagues often underestimate her because she doesn't look like she's playing the game. They think her quietness equals detachment, but in reality, it's surveillance. Every casual conversation, every meeting, every conflict feeds into her private archive. And the most unsettling part, she never broadcasts that she's watching. People only realize it when she makes a move so precise, it feels like she's been reading their mind. By collecting data in this way, the Sigma female doesn't just survive the workplace. She controls it from the shadows. Her knowledge is power, and because no one knows the depth of what she's holding, she becomes the one person nobody can fully predict or outmaneuver. And number 4. They exit meetings early in their minds. Sigma females have a way of moving through meetings that unsettles people who are obsessed with appearances. While most employees stay glued to every word, nodding in agreement and dragging out discussions just to be seen as engaged, the Sigma female's mind is already 10 steps ahead. She listens just long enough to extract the useful information, runs her analysis silently, and once she's solved the problem or reached the conclusion, she checks out, mentally gone, even if her body is still in the chair. This habit confuses colleagues because it doesn't fit the usual performance culture, where attention is measured by how long you sit still and how many times you speak up. But to her, staying present after the meeting has stopped being productive is nothing more than wasted time. She doesn't mistake endurance for efficiency. While others are still circling around the same points, trying to look important, she has already mapped out her next steps and mentally moved on to her real work. Her early exit isn't laziness, it's ruthless focus. She knows that meetings are often filled with repetition, ego-driven speeches, or irrelevant tangents. Instead of letting her energy be drained by the noise, she protects it by detaching. This gives her an edge, because when the meeting finally ends and everyone else is exhausted from overthinking, she's already ahead, executing on what actually matters. What unsettles people most is that she can do this without looking distracted. She may not be taking constant notes or chiming in with filler comments, but if she's asked a direct question, she can deliver a sharp answer on the spot. It feels as if she wasn't even paying attention, yet somehow knows more than the ones who tried to dominate the discussion. That quiet detachment makes her unpredictable. People can't read whether she's deeply engaged or completely indifferent. By exiting meetings early in her mind, the Sigma female refuses to give her mental space to rituals that don't serve her. And while the rest of the room is busy proving they've participated, she's already 2 steps into the future. That independence of thought is what makes her not just different, but untouchable in environments where everyone else is trapped by protocol. Number 5. They refuse to be measured by overtime. For a Sigma female, the idea that value equals the number of hours spent at a desk is laughable. She doesn't measure her worth by how long she stays after closing time or how many weekends she sacrifices. Instead, she measures by results. If she can finish a project in 2 focused hours, she will, and she won't feel the slightest guilt about leaving while others are still pretending to look busy. This mindset doesn't sit well with colleagues who've been conditioned to treat overtime as a badge of honor. They equate suffering with commitment and exhaustion with importance. When the Sigma female refuses to play along, it unsettles them. Her efficiency becomes a mirror reflecting their wasted time, unnecessary delays, and exaggerated workloads. And instead of learning from her, they often resent her for exposing just how much of their hard work is really just performance. Managers, too, don't always know how to handle her. They're used to measuring dedication by hours logged, not by output. But the Sigma female dismantles that system simply by existing. She delivers work that outshines others in half the time, leaving no room to argue that she's not pulling her weight. The traditional power that comes from overworking people doesn't stick to her. She slips right out of it by proving her value in ways that can't be argued with. What makes this so unusual is the clarity she has about energy. She knows it's not infinite, and she refuses to burn it up just to impress. Instead, she uses it with precision, channeling it where it matters most and conserving it where it doesn't. This gives her a freedom others don't have. While co-workers are chained to the illusion of productivity, she's already finished, recharged, and ready for whatever comes next. Overtime doesn't define her, and that makes her difficult to control in environments where compliance is measured by hours. She strips away the illusion that time equals value, and in doing so, she proves a point that many don't want to face. Efficiency is power, and dragging things out is weakness disguised as dedication. That's why her way of working provokes both admiration and quiet hostility. Number 6. They avoid fake praise. Sigma females don't hand out compliments like free samples. If something doesn't truly impress them, they won't pretend it does, and that alone unsettles a lot of people at work. In most workplaces, fake praise is almost a currency. People clap for half-baked presentations, gush over average ideas, and smile at efforts that don't deserve it, all in the name of keeping harmony. But the Sigma female refuses to participate in that ritual. To her, applause for mediocrity isn't kindness, it's dishonesty. Her silence, however, speaks volumes. When a project gets presented and everyone else is chiming in with empty approval, she might say nothing at all. That quiet absence of validation often lands harder than criticism. It makes people second-guess themselves, question whether their work really held weight, and sometimes even resent her for not joining in. They expect at least a nod, a polite "great job," or some other performance of encouragement. When it doesn't come, they feel exposed. What makes this habit powerful is that she doesn't do it out of cruelty. She simply doesn't believe in lowering the bar to make people feel better. To her, false praise is dangerous because it encourages mediocrity to grow. She'd rather let silence do the talking, trusting that those who truly want to improve will read between the lines. And here's the twist. When she does give praise, it carries real weight. People know it's not lip service, it's genuine recognition. That makes her approval rare and valuable, something colleagues can't buy with charm or demand with authority. In fact, some people start working harder just to earn that rare acknowledgement from her because they know if it comes, it actually means something. Of course, this selective honesty creates tension. In environments built on politeness and performance, her silence functions like a mirror, reflecting truths others would rather not see. It shows who's comfortable with honesty and who only thrives on flattery. That's why her refusal to fake praise doesn't just make her stand out. It exposes the fragile foundations of workplace culture itself. For some, her silence feels threatening. For others, it's the most refreshing form of respect they've ever received. Number 7. They don't bond over complaints. In many workplaces, complaining is the glue that holds people together. Teams form little alliances in the break room or over lunch, bonding by venting about the boss, the workload, or office politics. It's not really about fixing problems, it's about connection. But the Sigma female doesn't play that game. She doesn't use weakness, bitterness, or frustration as social currency, and that refusal instantly sets her apart. When others are trading complaints like playing cards, she stays quiet or redirects the conversation, not because she's emotionless, but because she knows constant venting solves nothing. To her, complaining is energy leaking in the wrong direction. She'd rather put that energy into finding a solution or simply moving on. That makes her difficult for colleagues to read. People expect her to join in the ritual. Complaining together is seen as solidarity. When she doesn't, it feels like rejection. This is where misunderstandings creep in. Coworkers often label her as cold, too serious, or even arrogant, because they mistake her refusal to complain for a lack of empathy. In truth, it's the opposite. She understands frustration deeply, but refuses to let it define her or become her bonding tool. She doesn't want to build relationships on shared weakness. She'd rather connect through strength, competence, or mutual respect. Her avoidance of complaint circles also protects her in subtle ways. Office venting often turns toxic, crossing the line into gossip or creating invisible divisions among coworkers. By refusing to indulge, she stays clean of those politics. Nobody can weaponize her words later because she never gave them any. And while others are digging themselves into emotional ruts by rehashing the same frustrations, she's free, mentally detached, conserving her focus for bigger things. What makes this so unusual is how threatening it feels to others. Misery loves company, and when she won't join, it makes people reflect on their own patterns. Her silence becomes uncomfortable because it highlights just how much energy they're wasting. In a way, her refusal exposes a deeper truth. Bonding over weakness is a poor substitute for real connection. And that's what makes her presence both unsettling and magnetic. She doesn't feed the cycle, and by not feeding it, she shows there's another way to exist at work. Number 8. They work like they're outsiders, even inside. Sigma females have a way of working that unsettles almost everyone around them. They operate like outsiders, even when they've been part of a company for years. While most employees slowly weave their identity into the fabric of their workplace, clinging to the culture, traditions, and politics as if their whole life depends on it. She keeps her distance. To her, a job is just that, a job. She treats it like a contract, a transaction, an exchange of value, not an anchor that defines who she is. This detachment is powerful because it gives her leverage. She doesn't beg for belonging. She doesn't get tangled in the invisible ropes of loyalty, and she doesn't panic at the thought of leaving. That doesn't mean she's careless. She delivers results, often more efficiently than anyone else, but she does it with a mindset that says, I'm here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. That quiet independence unnerves colleagues who measure their worth by how tightly they're tied to the company's identity. By working like an outsider, she also sees things others can't. Employees who are too embedded often become blind to inefficiencies and flawed systems because they've normalized them. The Sigma female never fully assimilates, so her perspective stays sharp. She spots waste, sees through pointless rituals, and identifies patterns that the insiders overlook. In meetings, her insights often cut deeper because she's not bound by the emotional weight of tradition. She sees the structure for what it is, not what people wish it to be. Of course, this independence comes at a cost. Some colleagues misinterpret her detachment as arrogance or lack of team spirit. They expect her to worship the same rituals, celebrate the same milestones, and bleed loyalty for the brand. When she doesn't, it feels threatening, as if her very presence questions why they cling so hard. What they don't realize is that her detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. By moving through the workplace like a consultant, she always retains the upper hand. She can commit fully without ever being trapped, contribute without being consumed, and walk away without breaking. That mindset makes her untouchable in environments where others are silently held hostage by the illusion of belonging. Number 9. They don't beg for visibility. Sigma females have no appetite for begging to be noticed. In a world where most people spend half their energy marketing themselves, building alliances, and carefully managing impressions, she simply delivers results and lets them stand on their own. She doesn't parade her achievements around or campaign for applause, because she knows real power doesn't need a spotlight, it creates its own. This refusal to chase visibility makes her mysterious, and ironically, more noticeable. While others are busy trying to convince the room of their worth, her silence speaks louder. People may not hear her bragging, but they can't ignore the weight of her output. The projects she touches run smoother, the problems she handles stay solved, and her consistency makes her presence impossible to overlook. She understands something most employees don't. The more you beg for recognition, the less powerful it feels when you finally get it. Her minimalism cuts against the grain of modern workplace culture, where self-promotion is often rewarded more than substance. Colleagues who rely on theatrics sometimes find her unsettling because her quiet results expose their noise for what it really is: performance. Managers, too, may feel conflicted. On one hand, she doesn't make their job easy because she won't play the politics of self-advertising. On the other, they can't deny her value, because her work speaks in a way no campaign ever could. What makes this behavior unusual is the discipline it takes. Most people crave validation. They want their effort noticed, their names called out, their contributions announced. The Sigma female resists that pull. She isn't dependent on applause to know she's done well. That inner independence makes her incredibly resilient in environments where recognition is unevenly handed out, because she never tied her self-worth to who claps the loudest. And here's the twist. When she does speak up, when she finally decides to put her name on something or take credit publicly, people listen. They know it's not posturing, it's real. That rarity gives her words and actions more weight than the constant noise of those who campaign daily for attention. By not begging for visibility, she ends up being the one everyone sees anyway. Number 10. They see office politics as amateur theater. To the Sigma female, office politics isn't a battlefield, it's a badly written play. She watches colleagues scheme, whisper, and compete as if every small promotion or piece of recognition were life-changing. To her, it looks less like strategy and more like amateur theater. She sees the overacting, the fake smiles, the forced alliances, and she can't help but recognize it for what it really is: a performance. Because she views it this way, she refuses to play the script everyone else seems so committed to. She won't flatter people she doesn't respect. She won't rehearse lines to please authority, and she won't bow to invisible hierarchies. This refusal doesn't just separate her, it unsettles people who depend on the game for their sense of control. They can't predict her moves, because she isn't following the script they've memorized. That unpredictability becomes her quiet weapon. Her detachment also makes her dangerous in ways others don't see coming. While colleagues are wasting energy maneuvering through petty politics, she's conserving hers for the work itself. By not getting sucked into the play, she keeps her mind sharp and her reputation cleaner. She doesn't have to untangle herself from alliances gone wrong or cover tracks after whispers spread. People can try to drag her into the drama, but it rarely sticks. She's simply not available for it. And here's what makes it so powerful. Her refusal to play often exposes just how ridiculous the whole performance is. When someone is obviously politicking and she reacts with calm indifference, it highlights the fakery in a way that words never could. It forces others to confront the fact that their serious strategies are really just desperate attempts to look important. This perspective gives her leverage. Those obsessed with politics constantly anticipate reactions, but she doesn't give them the satisfaction of being predictable. They expect her to compete for favor, to retaliate, or to grovel, but she does none of it. And in that refusal, she flips the balance of power. By seeing office politics as amateur theater, the Sigma female takes away the illusion that it matters as much as people pretend. Her unpredictability not only protects her, it exposes the truth that the whole performance was never about power, just insecurity dressed up as strategy. Number 11. They don't chase promotions, they outgrow them. For the Sigma female, a promotion isn't a milestone, it's a potential trap. While most employees chase titles as symbols of success, prestige, or security, she views them differently. To her, climbing the ladder can mean exchanging autonomy for recognition, creativity for conformity, and freedom for bureaucracy. She doesn't measure her worth by the position on her business card, because she knows that titles rarely grant true power, they just shift responsibilities and expectations. This mindset makes her remarkably different in any corporate environment. While colleagues spend years campaigning for raises, leading committees, and currying favor with decision-makers, she focuses on growth that actually matters, her skills, knowledge, and independence. She invests in capabilities that no title can define, building a portfolio of strengths that makes her valuable anywhere, regardless of rank. By the time management notices her contributions and considers rewarding her with a promotion, she has already moved mentally and strategically beyond it. What looks like opportunity to others feels like limitation to her. Her attitude unnerves supervisors who are used to wielding promotion as a tool of control. They expect compliance, loyalty, and gratitude when offering upward mobility. But she doesn't play that game. She doesn't need validation from a title or permission to influence outcomes. Her effectiveness isn't tied to a hierarchy, it exists independently. That makes her untouchable in ways that traditional office players rarely understand. Colleagues who chase promotions often fail to see why she doesn't compete for the same rewards. They assume ambition is measured by advancement, but for her, real ambition is self-determined growth. She outgrows structures before they can contain her. While others are climbing ladders that feel like progress, she's already built a ladder of her own, one that no one else can impose limits on. Ultimately, the Sigma female doesn't just bypass the typical corporate game, she renders it irrelevant. Promotions, awards, and titles are meaningless unless they serve her purpose. By outgrowing them before anyone can offer, she preserves the one thing that truly matters, her freedom. In her world, power isn't granted, it's cultivated silently and deliberately on her own terms. Number 12. They withdraw before burnout. Sigma females have a sharp sense of their own limits, and they respect them in ways most people at work never do. While many employees push themselves to the brink, juggling endless meetings, projects, and office obligations until exhaustion sets in, the Sigma female knows when enough is enough. She doesn't wait to hit the wall. She withdraws quietly, strategically, and without drama, long before burnout has a chance to take hold. This behavior often confuses co-workers. They see her stepping back and assume laziness or a lack of commitment. They whisper about her disengagement or wonder why she isn't doing more. What they don't realize is that she isn't shirking responsibility. She's exercising foresight. She understands that overextending herself doesn't make her stronger. It only weakens her control over her own life and energy. Her withdrawal is deliberate, a way to preserve focus, clarity, and power for the work that truly matters. Her timing is precise. She doesn't vanish in a way that draws attention or creates chaos. She simply stops overcommitting. She prioritizes the essential and leaves the rest for others, or lets it fall away naturally. By managing her energy this way, she stays sharp, creative, and decisive, while her peers slowly burn out chasing tasks and obligations that don't serve them. What makes this unusual is the perception gap it creates. People mistake her indifference for apathy, failing to understand the intentionality behind it. While colleagues scramble to prove they're indispensable, she quietly maintains her autonomy, ensuring that she alone determines where her efforts go. She doesn't need to prove her resilience through exhaustion. Her results speak for themselves long after others have collapsed under pressure. This method of withdrawal isn't reactive, it's protective. It allows her to operate at peak efficiency without falling into the trap of overwork, office politics, or unnecessary stress. She controls her limits before the world forces them upon her. In a culture that often glorifies burnout, her ability to step back before the tipping point makes her not just different, but untouchable, a professional force that remains calm, collected, and fully in control no matter how chaotic the environment becomes. Sigma females at work are a force quietly rewriting the rules of professional life. They don't follow the crowd, chase approval, or fall for the illusions of hierarchy. While others bond over complaints, scramble for visibility, or push themselves to exhaustion, they move with precision, independence, and clarity. They observe without being seen, conserve their energy while others burn out, and operate with a mindset that turns ordinary tasks into strategic moves. Their detachment, efficiency, and refusal to play by the standard rules make them unpredictable, unstoppable, and in many ways untouchable. What sets them apart is not raw ambition or loud displays of talent. It's their discipline, foresight, and refusal to equate effort with worth. They measure success on their own terms, outgrow limitations before anyone can impose them, and silently prepare escape routes that ensure they remain in control no matter what. Every action, every pause, every quiet decision is deliberate. Their presence challenges the office status quo, forcing colleagues to confront their own inefficiencies, insecurities, and unnecessary attachments. In essence, Sigma females turn the workplace into a stage where they control the script without anyone realizing it. They are invisible strategists, unseen yet deeply impactful, proving that true power doesn't need to announce itself. It simply exists and shapes everything around it. If you've been watching, learning, and taking notes, now is the time to embrace what these extraordinary women teach us. Efficiency, independence, and foresight are far more powerful than noise, drama, or blind ambition. Recognize their methods, respect their discipline, and maybe, just maybe, start applying a fraction of their quiet mastery to your own life. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more insights that dig deeper than the surface of workplace dynamics. The world is full of lessons, and the Sigma female is one of the most fascinating teachers you'll ever encounter. If you found these insights on Sigma females at work as fascinating as we do, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss content like this. Like the video if it opened your eyes, comment below with your thoughts or experiences, and share it with anyone who needs to understand the subtle power of these extraordinary women. Every interaction helps us bring more deep, raw, and brutally honest content straight to you. Stay curious, stay sharp, and let's keep uncovering the truths most people overlook.